Welcome. We are back. Crazy price action in EVs today, even GameStop too. So this is like what, the fourth stream in like the last 2 days. I don't even know how many streams it's been this week, but there was a Sunday stream. I think I went live almost every day during the day, and 2 night streams. It's been a lot. Hopefully you've been enjoying it. I've been doing a lot of schoolwork too, so sorry if I'm just like all over the place on this stream. What's up, Mr. Robinson, Danny, C, Lindsay Glenn, AK, Anna, Silent Dawn. A lot of mods in the chat right now. Love to see that. So yeah, let's talk about what happened. I'm just gonna like a quick update. I feel like I've been doing so many updates and everything. Bitcoin's the same, Ethereum's the same. The SPY did actually start to pull back at the resistance I was talking about last night on stream. So that resistance level, I was saying, maybe a pullback into the beginning of next week, and you had a slightly green day today for the SPY. I think, Tesla really helped out the Qs, and then that maybe helped out some EVs, which helped out the ARK ETF. It was kind of like this perfect storm for like separate indices, but the SPY was barely green today. So, SPY was barely green. The ARK ETF was up 5.5%. You're seeing that separation. This is something I did say, again, like just, it's so hard to refer back to streams because of how many streams there's been recently, but I think it was last night on stream, I was, word for word, I was saying growth stocks led this like little bull market rally, at least for right now. I'm not saying we're back in a bull market forever or anything, but growth stocks kind of led it. And then last week, growth stocks just went sideways, testing the top of this inverse head and shoulders. And then I said last night, if you get a breakout of this, maybe growth stocks will actually take the lead again going into earnings for large caps. So that kind of makes sense. I know it's a lot to manage, but if you were listening and you're listening right now correctly, that's exactly what is happening. Okay. And so many charts we looked at have played out very nicely today, if that's the right grammar. And these are the exact things we've been talking about on the stream. This is why I've been going live so much this week, because there's these many variables where if you're watching the streams, you're in the Discord, you're in premium, you're preparing yourself, you can catch these moves very, very easily because they're right in front of our faces. So there's your 1 hour inverse head and shoulders breakout for the ARK. And then if we move over to the Qs, it's actually kind of testing a breakout of this zone, this horizontal zone. Also broke above the 200 moving average, but very similar to the SPY, is heading into a little bit of resistance. You can see these highs and lows from the past. So again, major indices heading into major earnings next week are approaching some resistance, but the ARK ETF is kind of in its own world, all the way down over here, where like the SPY and the Qs are just like around up over here. Now growth stocks are reversing from down here, running into the 200-day moving average. There is room, and this is what allows for potential on something like Lucid to go up not only 43% at the close, but on this channel breakout, almost doubling in 1 day. I want to play a clip from literally this morning on the stream. See if I can find it. This one right over here. Lucid, this is one I'm keeping an eye on. You had like a double bottom breakout, then a big bull flag. Both of those were shared on the stream before they even happened. Now on the daily, Lucid is approaching the breakout test of this downsloping channel it's been in. This was hours ago when this was like noon. This was at noon, and Lucid was up 3% on the day, and I was talking about how I was keeping an eye on it and how it was testing a channel breakout. 1 hour later, you get this pretty much 100% spike where the stock doubles just like nothing. This is a very rare thing. I'm not saying it's going to happen to a lot of names, but these types of moves, when you're seeing also on top of that sympathy plays, can go crazy, right? Fisker kind of did something similar. We're going to look at those charts a little bit more in depth. I just want to finish talking about the market first. But yeah, SPY. Pretty much autopilot mode until the end of the day, kind of hit some resistance. In my opinion, now it's just end of the week. It was a huge week for a lot of people, just end of the week profit taking, for people not wanting to maybe hold positions into next week with earnings and stuff. But it can't get any easier than this, in my opinion. And this is something we've been talking about since down over here. So I've tried so hard the past few weeks to stream nonstop to alert a lot of swings for this price action, and now we have pretty much gotten it. In my opinion, short term, we're seeing a lot of euphoria So that's why I'm pretty skeptical going into next week. But even if we do pull back, then we just reset the oscillators, we flip our previous resistances into supports, and then in time hopefully go higher. So really good price action on a lot of names. Also, the Russell 2000 highest close since last September. It has already broken out of this trend line. It's also broken out and back tested the 200-day moving average, and now it's testing its final level, this horizontal zone which used to be support. So for small caps, you're also pretty much getting a pretty decent breakout, and that's what's going on. Tesla, what else do we say? What was the level I kept saying this morning on stream? 178, 178, 178. That was the level I said nonstop this morning on stream. If we look over here, it was your low from November 9th. We go back in time, it was kind of your support in March 5th of 2021. That's exactly where you closed at. Pretty much that's exactly where it's at currently after hours. That was the level. These levels have been charted for weeks. I did not just put these levels here. And look, this 154 level was used beautifully as support yesterday, and then the 178 was used beautifully as resistance today. These have been on my charts for a long time. If we go over to the weekly chart for Tesla, when it was down at $100, I was talking about this bullish cipher, classic bullish divergence, volume growing, and the most oversold RSI of all time. I really just don't have the energy right now to go back to all the streams in the past few weeks, but all of these things were said directly on the stream. I didn't even really tweet it. I didn't really talk about it on the Discord. All these were just kind of stream handouts. I've really been trying to, because I feel like last year, especially the last few months last year, it was really tough for me to stream. So everything was on Discord and Twitter. But over the past few weeks, I'm trying to give all the, like, I don't know what word to use, but like all the knowledge back into the streams kind of. And if you're watching them, like you're seeing it time and time again. All these names we've been talking about, literally right from the PCZ up to the first level I charted on the weekly time frame. I did not chart any levels in between those. It just ran right up to that level and closed the week there. I mean, that's just really cool to me, in my opinion. That's as beautiful as technical analysis can get. So, everybody's saying, all right, we get it. You talked about things 2 weeks ago and they just happened now. What's next? All right, let's talk about it. It's confusing. All right, it was much clearer 2 weeks ago. Now you're just at a make or break area. 2 weeks ago, you were breaking out of this downsloping channel. You were at the PCZ of a bullish cipher. You had a bullish hammer. You had volume and classic bullish divergence. You had all these variables 2-3 weeks ago. But that is the point where people were fearful and they didn't care and they were looking away from the market. And then what happens this week? The people who were caring 2-3 weeks ago are making profits, and the people who were turned their head away just turned their head back to the market this week, and they're buying up shares from people who bought down over here, who are selling now. Those people FOMOing are buying up shares here after Tesla just went up like 80%. This is why you got to be patient, why you got to trust the TA and manage risk when the TA doesn't work, of course. But nonetheless, highest volume on Tesla since like December of 2020. Huge day today. We were watching this intraday during the day stream as well. It kind of all started as well, like at least the second leg of this with that triangle breakout from yesterday during the day on stream. It's like almost all these moves. I can keep saying I was streaming because I've been streaming so much. So it's like, I feel like the more I've been streaming, the more things I can refer back to because we've been looking at all these charts. Whereas if I only stream like twice a week, then there's not a lot of things to refer to because I'm not talking about those many things, if that makes sense. But yeah, really, really good move on Tesla. Let's talk about Lucid a little bit more in depth. On stream this morning, I was saying I'm keeping an eye on this. It's testing this channel breakout that it's been in since last summer. You broke it, of course, with Tesla going to. You got a very crazy move. Let's look at a couple articles here. Let's see. EV stocks were among the standout performers. Lucid, Fisker, Tesla, Polestar, Rivian showing gains. So to me, this just looks like a lot of sector rotations, but of course it also says Lucid surged 43% amid speculation that Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund was eyeing a possible takeover of the EV maker. So you're getting news left and right for EVs again, and you're seeing sympathy moves. It just creates this storm. The ARK ETF is breaking out, the SPY is doing well. Like, these are the variables all coming together at the same time that allows for something like this. And if anybody was in lotto calls on Lucid or Fisker when they were flat today before they both went up so much, I mean, that could be a life-changing trade. It could have happened. I'm sure it happened to some people today. If you didn't see the Discord though, I was in class when it happened. I just finished streaming, went to get lunch, and I just try and peek at my phone in class, and I'm like, the moves I've waited months for. I have to be sitting in class, and then like one of my only classes where you can't use a laptop or a phone. So you're just seeing my post reaction kind of right now. But there you go. Huge move on Lucid. It just obviously ran through all the levels with all that volume. And it kind of reset to close around 13, which is just under this major low from last May. So that's kind of that short-term level. Let's go down to like really low time frames. You just kind of ran all the way up there and then spent the rest of the day consolidating around VWAP. There's no point in talking about intraday tag and close going into the weekend, so we'll talk about this going into next week, but I don't know. We were just looking at this. Even the bull flag played out beautifully. If you're in premium, I did share this chart literally right over here when it was testing the double bottom breakout about 2 weeks ago. I shared this in premium, and just currently, not even at the high state, it's up 84% since then. If you go to the highs from today, it was up like 160%. But yeah, it's also kind of ironic that the level that it topped out at was also like one of the major levels I did chart that lined up with some resistance from last September and a couple lows as well from the past. And then Fisker. All right. We were talking about last night on stream how it was at the bottom of this range and it was still holding it. And then today, during the day stream, I went to the 5-minute chart and I drew out this little pattern. Did I say, okay, I think Fisker is about to go up 30%? Of course, no, I didn't. But we were watching this pattern. I talked about how it was consolidating at VWAP. There was a little bit of hidden bullish divergence, a wedge, a support. And we were watching this, and I ended streaming like right over here, literally. And then I go into class like right around over here. I saw the beginning of the move right before I headed into class. And then I was just like, oh my gosh, it's still going. Went all the way up to $9. That was the highest price since pretty much November. If we're going to look at this as like an extreme range, then this is your range on Fisker. And with the move today, you ended up going from the bottom of the range to the top of the range back to the middle of the range. But it's still much better than being at the bottom of the range where all you needed to do was go down a few percent to break down to new all-time lows with no support. So what this does is it creates a much larger blanket for Fisker, where for it to break down now, it would have to fall like 18%. But literally yesterday or the day before, it just had to fall like 2% to break down. So that gives me a lot more comfort with Fisker short term. If we go over to higher time frames on the 4-hour, you did close above this little zone, but you're still under the big one, which is $8. So going into next week, $8 is a critical level to look at. And then intraday today, again, these are not levels I charted right before I went live to say, ha, I told you. Go back to my streams. Every single stream this week, $8.69 has been charted there. The high of day on Fisker today was $8.66. 200-day moving average, and then this high from November as well. Oh, sorry. And then look at this low from November of 2020 as well. And people say TA is fake. Did TA make Fisker go up 30% today? No. But where exactly did it top out? Right at the 200-day moving average, right at this high, right at this low. Go tell your friend that says TA is fake and ask them if that's a coincidence. That's all I'm saying. But pretty much ran up there and then closed under 8. Also, GameStop made a big move. We were talking about this on the day stream as well. 1954, what is that level? This low from March of last year, this low from May of last year. We were also looking at, on the 1 hour, that same zone. I was talking about that, but on lower time frames, I charted out this falling wedge today at noon, and then boom. So it's just crazy to me because to so many people, this probably feels so insane and impossible. But for those of you who have stuck with me since 2020, 2021, you know that we've seen this before, and you know that we can place ourselves time and time again in positions to profit off of moves like this. Fortunately, I wasn't able to today, personally, but I talked about most of these charts on the stream at noon before I left, and literally drew out this wedge, and it's just nice, I think, hopefully. But also, just talking about where GameStop went to, I had this zone charted out here. Let me extend it out. You see this high from January 18th and 23rd. It broke above that, and then right before the close, it back tested that and flipped it into a support. So this is something to keep a big eye on next week, in my opinion, that little zone. If it can hold above that, if I draw this out over here to this level, $22 pretty much. It was even lows from over here. That's a big level. If it can keep holding 22, the next level I see is 24. It was this major support bottom from this range back in October. I remember that range. It was a huge premium trade. I alerted that when it, like literally the day it broke out, it was crazy. But next resistance now is that previous support. So that's your next level for GameStop. And yeah, really solid day all around. Even the Roblox swing, I actually ended up marking the screen. This was alerted last week. To everyone in the Discord, it's a free swing. And it's a little bit shy of the initial first target I charted, but I decided to mark it green because we're going into the weekend. And you're approaching this channel supply line as well as these highs. It's just the first target. So that was another pretty nice one from today. Now I want to talk about two more names, all right? Earlier on the stream, I talked about Tesla, I talked about Lucid, I talked about GameStop, I talked about Fisker. Tesla went up 11%, GameStop went up 14%, Lucid almost doubled, Fisker went up 30%. What two names do I want to talk about right now? Number one, AMC, okay? Let's go on to lower time frames. Zeke, you were mentioning this on the stream earlier, you tweeted this out. AMC quietly broke out of this wedge. So again, something to keep an eye on going into next week. We go over to the 4 hour. You got a little cup and handle also forming, and that wedge we just looked at on the 1 hour chart right over here is basically this handle right over here. But I'm just for the sake of the 4 hour chart, I'm just going to draw it like this. And then the neckline of that cup and handle is going to be around 650. So just again, I'm not sharing this on Twitter or in Discord. It's another stream secret for the people, 17 people watching the stream right now. It's a little secret, okay? We're watching this. We're just watching. I'm not saying to do or to not do anything. And then the other one, CLOV, closes the day with a bullish engulfing candle. This is your first bullish engulfing candle in this whole entire range, I believe, as long as I'm reading that correctly. I don't see any other bullish engulfings here. So in all of this price action, this is your first bullish engulfing candle. And if we go over to the 4 hour chart, after bouncing off of 117 again, you're getting closer and closer to breaking out of that inverse head and shoulders. And again, potential sympathy for names like GameStop and AMC. It had a really nice move from 88 cents to 130. It's been going sideways for 2 weeks now as a potential inverse head and shoulders. If we really look at the RSI, there's a very little bit of hidden bullish divergence as well. We get onto the 1 hour chart. We look at it as a triangle. You're at least kind of testing a breakout. That's also bullish pennant if we zoom out. So these are the two names that we'll just be keeping an eye on, okay? And yeah, really, really good day. I had to go live to talk about this stuff because we talked about it earlier today and now you see it playing out. So there we go. Rest of the stream, whatever you guys want to talk about, drop it in the chat, any charts you want to look at. And that's all I want. I literally just wanted to talk about that. I had to go live again and talk about what just happened. It's really good price action. Also the ARK ETF on the 4 hours approaching this very big inflection zone. Very similar, actually. This is very similar to another chart. Right angle descending broadening wedge, but your neckline is coming back up into a previous support flipped resistance. You know what chart looked just like this a couple weeks ago and ended up doing this? Bitcoin. Literally the same exact thing. Look at this daily chart on Bitcoin, and ARK is pretty much right over here. Look what Bitcoin did when it had the same exact setup on the daily. It did this. Now let's go back to the ARK ETF on the 4 hour. Same exact setup. So we'll see. It's obviously not the same asset, but who knows? Dudes in the chat. Kaleidoscope says, "What's good, champion team?" Zeke said, "This is when sticking through the hard times pays off." Absolutely. Zeke says, "Last few days have felt easier with the price action we have gotten." Zeke says, "One guy on Twitter apparently took 8K to $1.5 million on Lucid calls." Oh my gosh. Darwin says, "I got about 3,000% in Lucid calls bought after the news and way after your stream 1 hour or so." So even after it went crazy, you were able to get a huge profit. Sold around the second halt. Good day. Max says W. Darwin says, "Not bragging, but showing that if you bought calls during Champ's stream, you probably would have been up even more." I waited until I heard the buyout news. Zeke says when price action is like this and not like how it was a few months ago, it's way better. Took next week's 5.5 calls for 40%. Didn't really get the move I was looking for today with everything running like crazy. It's after the moves happen, it becomes definitely a little bit harder to find those moves. But again, like I just find it very not ironic or lucky, but just what's the right word to use here? I find it very satisfying that we were literally looking at Fisker and Tesla at noon when they were flat on the day, and then an hour later they're ripping up 30% and 100% off the exact patterns we're looking at. Of course, there was news in Tesla and other stuff, but like even the levels they went up to, we just looked at it. Tesla, like again, look at the charts. This is why TA is so important. Like they didn't call for these moves, but what level I've been talking about Tesla for the whole week? 178. Where did it close this week? 178. What was that level I charted out on Lucid? 1723, pretty much topped out there. Fisker almost to the cent. This has been charted on the stream for weeks. 869 high of day. It might not give you the moves all the time, even though it gives you a probability for the moves, but it can tell you the extent of the moves, and that is so big. That's where most traders fail. Because a lot of traders are probably saying, all right, I'm going to sell Fisker when it gets to $9 because that's an even number. That's probably what a lot of beginner traders were saying, but they didn't have the education that I'm trying to share to find that 869 level. They didn't have the 200-day moving average on the TradingView chart. They were looking at a line chart on Robinhood probably. These are the slight things you can understand that can completely change your trading. Darwin says, just want to say glad you're streaming more. Thank you. It's not easy, but I love it. Classcope, yeah, we'll take a look at some of those takers in a second. Zeke says, would you want to try out the community voice thing since it's a nice chill stream tonight? I would be down to do that, but I need to get food. I have not had food since noon. Let's do a take request and then I'll see. All right. So Nicola, UVV, hit the like button if you didn't already. Hit the subscribe button. It's a Friday night, and I'm this dedicated to this. Okay. We're streaming, talking about charts when I literally went live this morning, last night, yesterday morning, all the other mornings this week, Sunday night. Like, you can see I've just been waiting for this for so long. I really have been. And the results speak for themselves. Look at the weekly sheet. Look at the options from this month in premium. This is what patience can allow you to find success from. Oh yeah, we'll look at Bitcoin first, I guess, Rockstar. But again, there's really not much to talk about on it right now. Kane Alu, I'm sorry for mispronouncing that, says turned $600 into $8,000. Wow. All right, let's look at Bitcoin first. I just skipped over it. It's just still consolidating in this little 1 week zone. I mean, there's a few different ways you can look at it. Some people might say, all right, ignore this 1 wick over here and then call this an ascending triangle. That's one way to look at it, right? Like this. Some people might just look at it as like an upsloping channel. Others might just look at it as a symmetrical triangle. It's just consolidation. You could chart this in a dozen different ways. One thing that is interesting to me though, however, is apart from this little breakdown over here, it flipped this previous wedge supply line into a demand line. As you can see, it was rejecting it over here. And then over here, it started using that line as support. A little bit interesting. So it's just consolidating at the end of the day. You know, breaking above this high would be good. Breaking under these lows would be bad. Nicola up 10%. This was in a premium watch list not too long ago, and I also showed on the stream, but it's like a massive wedge with a smaller wedge inside of it. And then if we zoom in again, it's like a little inverse head and shoulders over here. I do not like Nicola as a company, but you have multiple wedges, huge volume, bullish engulfing candle. If it can just hold these lows relatively about 20% or so below, I mean, there's room. Let me chart out some levels. It almost hit this high from December 5th today. So those are your next levels on Nicola. UVV, I'm very 50-50 on this one. I just rejected the 200-day moving average, but maybe it's like a larger inverse head and shoulders, or maybe a smaller inverse head and shoulders. Maybe you could chart it out like this. It's another chart where it's just hard to tell, so not much of a bias on this one. Arc G is got too deep for like a textbook bullish bat, but I guess it just used this historical zone of support, bounced off of it, and is now testing the 200-day moving average after double bottoming. And yeah, it's broken out. You want some more levels? There you go. All right, those are some more levels for ARKG, and then ARKQ just broke out today actually from this wedge, but it's got the 200-day moving average just above. And it's actually testing these lows from June right now. These are some levels for ARKQ. Yanu's in the chat. What's up? Hope your what's it called? Market close stages went well. Keanu and Zeke are in here. We're going to be recording a podcast tomorrow morning. If you're not subscribed to Trading Addicts podcast, links in the description. Coinbase, another one we were literally talking about down over here. I was not about to curse. I know I sounded like I was just about to curse. The 4-hour wedge. Let me chart it out one more time. We looked at this at the end of last year and just boom, boom, broke out, ran. Even on top of that, I drew out a cup and handle recently. It just kind of broke out of that cup and handle today in the morning. That neckline was around $58. And these are some 4-hour levels I have for Coinbase. 78 is a very, very big level. And this is also kind of a big level because you can see it was support over here, and now it's testing that as resistance. And then your 200-day moving average is up at around 67. IDEX, looks like I already have a bunch of levels charted out, so those are your levels. And that bearish pennant did play out to the downside, but that's over and done with for right now, so probably this would be your new triangle pattern. Just see which way it breaks. It's again a very choppy chart though. Keanu says I need to watch Billions. Max says Billions great show. Zeke says I'm starting it this weekend. Keanu username NF says Billions is fire. I love Billions. I've watched every single episode. I've watched Billions twice. Every episode twice. I actually rewatched it. I think I watched it in the beginning of 2021. I remember watching it around the time when GameStop and AMC and all that stuff was happening. But yeah, great show. I haven't seen the whole show. I stopped watching it. I stopped watching the last season. I don't want to say why because I'll give a spoiler, but for those of you who know what happened with the show, that's why I stopped watching it. But every season I did watch, I loved. Yeah. Shout out to Axe, shout out to Wendy, Chuck. Who else is in the show? Taylor. What was Axe's wife's name? I think they said, was it Clara? Billions, Axe wife. Lara Axelrod. I'll be close. But yeah, Billions is a great show. I'd say top three or four that I've ever seen. All right, so those are your chart requests. Make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button if you don't already. What a crazy day. There's one spot left. Literally one spot left. If you didn't watch the stream earlier, I already talked about it. But what's the tweet at? Let me pull it up. One spot. What's happening on Twitter? Yeah, Twitter went crazy today for sure. Oh, I didn't look at Lyft. Testing 200-day moving average. It looks like that wedge breakout played out pretty nicely. And this level, 1460, is huge. Look at this low from last March, then this high over here, then these lows, and then it tested it for a week as resistance, and then it flipped it into a support. 1460 is the level. And then you actually have another level right here, 1639. Look at that. This low, this high, and then your high today. So those are some two big levels right next to you. Then you got 1850, those highs, 2029. We go over to the weekly chart. It's not close. I mean, actually, it kind of is close to breaking out. You can look at this a few different ways. Channel, wedge, whatever. All right, there's one spot left for this. A couple people have already signed up with it. 40% off annual forever. Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. Yeah, that's annual is already 30% cheaper than monthly. And now you get 40% off annual forever on top of that. So you're pretty much getting a full year premium for the price of 5 months if you were to be in monthly. And I also added webinars, so that's 12 webinars you're getting access to for $300. Without this link, it's usually $500. That's the new price, $500 a year. So if you want $200 off, if you want to invest in yourself, if maybe you had a good day with some crazy stocks going crazy and have a full year premium, 12 webinars, weekly watch list, options every week, swings almost every week, depends on how it is. This month there's been a lot. There's literally one spot left. So one of the 16 people in here, if you want it, it's yours. Just wanted to give out the reminder. These are the things that are included. It is the pinned chat if you're interested. This is how the options have gone so far this month. Past results are not indicative of the future. I will be honest, it will not always be like this. It's just not possible. And then some recent swings. Some fail. I'm not saying they're all winners. So that's the pinned chat. If anybody wants that, final spot is up for grabs. And that deal is only for today. So just a little flash sale. Because the webinar is tomorrow. I want to get we already have a couple new people that hopefully join the webinar tomorrow, but a couple new people that use that and signed up. But I want to have some new people in the webinar tomorrow. Give them a nice little introduction to premium. Webinar tomorrow is at 3 p.m. EST. It's going to be on how to read the market and position sizing. I've already actually written down the notes like for the webinar, what I'm going to talk about. Did I leak it really quickly? There you go. If somebody zooms into that, then you have the notes for what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. And then, yeah, it's just going to be a quick 15-20 minute lecture. And I'm going to try and spend the majority of time. 1 second. I'm going to try and spend the majority of time. I do this. Doing Q&As. Which, as you can see over here, I was saying, this is also, if any premium members are watching right now, bring questions, all right? Because we've done some before and I talked for a while and there just wasn't a lot of questions. The main point for me on these is to answer questions for as long as possible. Yeah, Lucid popped at close. I don't know. Let's see. To me, at the close, it just developed this triangle pattern at VWAP. There you go. My social security number was on what? There's no way I don't even think my social's on my computer, honestly. I don't think my social's on anything that I have digitally. I memorized it, so it's not on anything. You're messing with me. There's no way. I don't know. But yeah, if anybody wants it, my social security is 13645. I'm not saying the last four. Been watching Doge off of Tesla. I'll take a look at that. We looked at this not too long ago. It was so I just did like 300 questions of homework and I sat in a 3-hour philosophy class today. So my brain's a little bit not active right now. Culmination, is that a word? Culmination. Perfect. I knew it. All right. It was a culmination of historical support zone. Okay. 200-day moving average and a wedge apex and classic bullish divergence all right over here. Again, somebody needs to start making like highlights of every time I say this. Send this to your friend that says TA is fake. Just ask them why Dogecoin went up 30% at this exact area where support, the 200-day moving average, this wedge apex, and classic bullish divergence lined up. Just ask them why it did that at that place. Okay, that's all I'm saying. And yeah, all right. So how long was that? 40 minutes. These are like flying by. Like I'm doing like 2 40-minute streams a day. It's usually like, I feel like I was doing the 40-minute streams and they feel like an hour and a half. And these ones are like, I feel like I'm live for like 5 minutes. But yeah, I need to go get food to eat. I think it's been a great stream. There's a lot of streams you can rewatch from this week. Podcasts coming out. You want that final spot, pin chat. I don't know if anybody took it yet, but you can try it out. It's the pin chat, and I can just drop it in the chat if some people don't know how to use the pin chat, or if you're watching on TV or something. So that link's there. Have a great weekend. I need to relax for a little bit, okay? Because podcast and webinar tomorrow. So yeah, I'm gonna go relax. Peace out.
Devices